Hi there, it's April. Welcome back. This is day number 1 of my 30 days of exposing my truth. And what I'm going to talk to you about today has to do with our overachieving? Is it tied to just simply trying to prove that we're good enough? Because it was for me. And I want to share my story with you. I was born in Chicago, Illinois, to a single mom. I didn't have a father. A few years later, my mom met a man in the United States Marine Corps in the military, got married, and he became my dad. He adopted me. So I grew up in a very large blended family with 6 kids living on military bases. I remember my dad constantly preaching at me about responsibility. So as a teenager, I rolled my eyes, but I get it now why he was doing that. And I was always seeking my dad's approval. So I must have been probably 12, maybe 13 years old. I had gotten an A on a test, and I wanted to tell my dad about it. So I went home from school. It was after dinner. My dad was sitting in his recliner, relaxing. And I went over to him and I said, "Dad, I got my test back." And I handed him the paper. There was a big A on the top of the test. I'm standing there waiting on getting my pat on the back, right, for a job well done. So my dad looks at the paper, he sees the A, and he says to me, "If you would have studied just a little bit harder, you would have gotten an A+, but better luck next time." And he handed me the paper back. Well, my heart sank because it was in that moment that I started to believe the lie that I'm not good enough. And it began to bleed over into my adult life and even into my business. There were moments that it actually pushed me to excel, trying to prove that, see, I'm not good enough, and some good things happened. But there were some things that happened that it held me back. It started to limit me. And it was sabotaging my progress for going to the next level, especially in business. And so, let me just say this. There are so many adults out there who have the same core wound, which is I'm not good enough, and it's subconscious and it's running in the back of our mind. And most of the time we're not even aware of it. And that's what's driving our behaviors, our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. And those things create the results that are showing up, whether that's good or whether it's not so good. I think now I realize that my dad wasn't trying to hurt me. He was trying to help me. He was trying to push me to be my best self. But back then, as a kid, my brain wasn't fully developed. I was the one that misinterpreted what my dad meant by what he said. And that's when I just internalized and started to believe I'm not good enough, which is fundamentally not true at all. This is just one example of how limiting beliefs get linked up in our childhood and how it can start to run our life and really impact it. So on my journey, after all of this, I discovered that limiting beliefs and that core wound of I'm not good enough, it can be a blessing, but it can also be a curse. So let me share with you, I've got some notes over here. I wanted to share with you some examples. At first, that fear of not being good enough or trying to prove my worthiness was good. There were some good things that came out of it. First and foremost, it was a catalyst that caused me to cultivate and reach mastery level with my genius zone, with specific gifts, skills, and talents that I became excellent at. It's really one of the number one reasons why I became excellent at sales and marketing, and specifically around getting clients and authentic persuasion and influencing people. Those type of skills came because of the wound. But it helped me to also achieve a lot of things. I became a high achiever, really an overachiever. So it allowed me to have some great successes because I was constantly hustling, trying to prove that I was good enough. Things like being inducted into the Junior National Honor Society. I became a black belt in karate and competed in tournaments and won lots of first place trophies. I've won many awards and recognition. I reached mastery level with innovative sales and marketing strategies around client attraction. I stepped into thought leadership and started to share my own innovative solutions and original thoughts and ideas in the marketplace. It helped me to go from earning $9 an hour struggling as a single mom to generating $9 million in sales, winning a salesperson of the year, TV appearances, inventing a product, winning an award as an inventor, being on Shark Tank, all of that. But there was a dark side of being driven by this core wound of not feeling good enough and trying to prove my worth. The dark side was that basically when the wound, such as like I'm not good enough, that's just one example. There are other core wounds. When it begins to hold us back or harm our life or sabotage our progress in our business or any way, that's when it's reached an expiration date. And it's time to heal it and transform it. It's accomplished its purpose, which is to help you to develop your unique gifts and skills and reach mastery level. But when it's holding you back, it's time to transform it, to let it go. And so that wound of not feeling good enough, it held me back in these specific ways. I became a workaholic and ended up completely disconnected from my family, from myself, and from God. It also caused me to start hitting a sales plateau in my business where it's like I was hitting a ceiling and I couldn't figure out how to go beyond it. And at times, it lasted for years. And I couldn't figure out what was the sticking point. How, there was like this set point. It caused me to have generic messaging and sound like a carbon copy of other businesses. And I was blending in, sounding like everybody else out in the marketplace. It caused me to have perfectionism and proving, having this invisible barrier between me and the audience that was blocking this connection that I craved with other people. I made millions and I lost it all, and I went bankrupt and I had to start all over. I've made millions, gained material possessions, but then I felt completely unhappy and empty inside, wondering, is this all there is? And I was in a place of never enoughness. All of those things can limit us. But I just want to say I love my dad, and I'm so grateful that he pushed me to be my best self and that he got me down this road of really taking responsibility for my life and stop being a victim and having blame and excuses. I crossed over to the other side. But without this pain, I wouldn't have uncovered my brilliance. And I certainly wouldn't have stepped into my thought leadership and had the courage to do that, which is what I'm doing now. It helped me to be a better wife, a better leader, a better business owner, a better mom, because I went through that. That's really the purpose of pain, is to learn from it and move on from it. And I just want to encourage you today, if you have been driven by this old wound, maybe you can relate. If any, is there any ways that showing up in your life or your business or even in your relationships right now where that old core wound of not feeling good enough is driving you to prove that you're worthy when it's really a lie? Is it limiting you as a leader or in your personal life in any way? I just want to encourage you to take the time to look into that deeper, to deal with it and transform it. It may be time. It may have reached an expiration date. I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.